It's long been debated. Hot topic.
People have been talking.
One of the most violent, aggressive phrases, apparently, in the world. What constitutes a damn good dog?
People right now in the comments already fighting with each other.
Already fighting. You've been fighting forever, so we thought, why not do it? We continue on our bracket. We go from the west and over to the east side of the brackets to figure out who is the damnedest of all the goodest dogs in Georgia history. Next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? How are you doing? Welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. If you're listening on audio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your audio podcasts, we would love it if you would subscribe or follow or whatever the terminology is that the podcast listening app of your choice
Whatever the kids are calling it these days.
designates. And we would love it if you'd leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be exceptional as well. If you're watching on YouTube, as always, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for clicking that subscribe, for hitting the bell, giving it a thumbs up, leaving a comment, all those things. And if you're watching on YouTube, which many of you are, head over to an audio podcast listening app and just subscribe to the show. That's the best way that you can help us out. And if you like the show and want to help us out, great. And if you don't like the show, you're a minute and 52 seconds in. It's weird that you're still here, to be honest with you. It's just, I don't know if you're a glutton for punishment or you're a Tennessee fan or
To be perfectly honest,
those are the same.
Also, criminal background check, not going to pass. All three of these. Tennessee fans.
Say three things, but really only say one thing.
Okay, here we go. We start in on the bracket. By the way, glutton for punishment, I think, is why we started this podcast.
Correct. That is, well, we weren't really gluttons for punishment. We didn't think anybody was going to listen. So we didn't have any concept that this, would be. Anyway, thanks to Justin, our good buddy and Chili's companion, who has put together this bracket for us. Now, to be clear, we said this on the last show. If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, go back and listen to yesterday's.
Please do.
The whole west side of the bracket we cover. Today we're on the east side of the bracket. Now let's give the disclaimer. These are only players in the Kirby Smart era.
Yeah, I mistakenly said damnedest of all good dogs in the history of Georgia. I was lying.
That's not accurate.
In the history of Kirby
He's
Smart.
not being accurate there.
I'm not.
So we've clarified that now. We're getting right into the bracket. And Clint,
This is
the
a doozy.
most egregiously seeded player in the entire bracket is making an appearance right off the bat today.
Justin B. tweeting, I don't know what Christopher Smith did to you.
It's insane what I'm reading right now.
Christopher Smith is not an 8 seed.
Nakobe Dean, the 1 seed, has drawn the strongest 8 seed in the history of this tournament, which is officially 1 day old.
Wow. That's quite a statement. I got Aziz Ojolari at a 4 seed. Christopher Smith at an 8 seed.
It's a little peek at what's to come there. Nakobe Dean, Christopher Smith. You got to. The draw is what it is.
Okay,
you got to
fine.
take it as it comes.
Fine, let's take it.
Is Christopher Smith going to? Does he have what it? We know that he's a damn good dog. We know that he's done exceptional things for Georgia.
Love this man.
Does he have what it takes to take out Nakobe Dean?
Did Alabama have what it takes to take out Nakobe Dean?
They did not.
Okay. Well, then no.
Okay.
Nakobe Dean is one of my favorite Georgia players of all time. Of all time.
Yeah.
Top 5 for me.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean he's exceptionally likable.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that quiet, get your job done attitude about him that's really easy to cheer for.
Very.
And he just never let you down. You understand? Like a lot of it's not necessarily, we say it's not about talent or stats. It's more just about, did you ever look at Nakobe Dean playing football and have a bad feeling. Because there are definitely some players on this list that's not true of. But Nakobe Dean never really let you down. He was just always where he needed to be. Christopher Smith, in shocking fashion, I think, goes out in the first round.
Yeah, rough.
The committee really screwed him over. And by the committee, I think you know who I mean.
We mean one man. We go down to the 4 or 5 seed. Trayvon Walker 5, Azeez Ojulari 4. And this is our first very similar-esque player comp.
You got edge players. I mean, one of them is technically a defensive tackle or whatever, but played a lot on the edge. He's now an edge player in the NFL. Number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker. First defensive tackle I've ever seen cover a kickoff.
And it was terrifying.
It was spectacular.
I quivered.
And then you got Azeez Ojulari, who is he the premier edge talent on the Kirby Smart era so far?
That's a really good question. It's not as ludicrous as it seems.
He's in there. He's
in the conversation.
He's in the mix for sure. Who do you have in this 4-5 matchup, Clint?
I gotta give it to Trayvon. You get a guy who was on one of the most dominant defenses to ever exist. That alone, right there. If you were part of that crew, that gets you in the door to this conversation much more. Your foot in the door. Secondly, number 1 overall pick, representing Georgia, getting the name of claim. I think it goes Trayvon.
It's edge, though. It's just he edges him.
A feather.
He edges him. That's a tough one. I think Christopher Smith takes both these guys.
I would agree.
That's the wild thing about this bracket. Really tough
letting
draw
you off the hook
for Christopher Smith. 3 seed James Cook.
This is another tough one.
6 seed heat-seeking missile shot out of a cannon, Channing Tyndall. Now listen, you can't think about Channing Tyndall without thinking about one moment in time.
No,
just a singular moment in time. Bryce Young is rolling out to the right.
I got the overhead cam in my picture.
And then what happened was he had a lane, he had an avenue, but not for long because Channing Tyndall came out like a freight train.
But you have to understand, James Cook is the lightning to the thunder. That was.
Stop that right there.
It's Channing Tyndall.
This is really tough, I think,
tough
for me. I think James Cook did it for longer.
But that run in that natty.
The run in the natty, capping off the career.
Ooh.
He had a couple of runs, Clint. You want to talk about shot out of a cannon, Clint? You want to talk about shot out of a cannon?
You know what? Hold on. Hold the recount. There's a recount tabulating. I have never, ever in my life, Nintendo nicknamed a Georgia player like I did King Boo Boo on skates. Like I did James
Ghost
Cook.
on skates.
Ghost on skates.
I think Ghost on Skates takes this
It.
Simply for the nickname Ghost on Skates, King Boo on Skates, which I've not thought about one time since 2021.
It's the stupidest nickname I've ever come up with.
Yeah, and you've said a lot of dumb stuff on this podcast, and that is probably the dumbest thing that you've said. I'm going to give it to James Cook, edging out. This is another ultra close one, Clint. This bracket is tough.
It's tough.
And it doesn't get any easier.
Let's go right there to 7 versus 2. Huge disparity on the seating this side. Broderick Jones is a 7.
You called him one of the best offensive tackles to ever come through the University of Georgia.
And I stand by that.
In its history.
And then DeAndre Swift is the 2, who, by the way, 1 foot in ground, cut and go, Philly special, the true original Philly special.
Yep.
Who set up so many very just highlight reel runs that got Georgia's offense going for a lot of years.
Yes.
In which Jake Fromm was back there, in which we didn't have the offense that we do now.
That's right.
DeAndre Swift 2, Broderick Jones 7. Daniel, who do you give the edge to?
I have to give the edge here to DeAndre Swift. I think there are so many great memories of DeAndre Swift. Now
This is not talent, y'all.
It's not talent. I want to clarify something because it seems like this is the appropriate time to talk about this. This is not players who played for Kirby Smart.
No.
It's players that Kirby Smart recruited.
Please.
It's why you're not seeing Nick Chubb on this list, but you are seeing DeAndre Swift on this list because while Nick Chubb and Sony Michel played for Kirby Smart, Kirby Smart did not recruit Nick Chubb and Sony Michel to the University of Georgia. DeAndre Swift, however, he did, and that freshman year, the SEC championship game, that run alone. That run alone.
I can picture that right now in my head, too.
You absolutely can picture that, and that's the sign of a damn good dog. That's the sign of a true UGA legend.
Plus, if we didn't choose him, Mr.
His father
Swift is in the background waiting to thump you.
What you can't see is directly off camera at one of our homes. There's just waiting.
We're going to come back after this, but first, we'll mention about FanDuel. FanDuel has all that exciting action right now, and I don't know if you understand what March Madness is and how National Championship Game is coming up and how Masters is coming up and how baseball futures is coming up, but FanDuel understands. FanDuel.com/lockedon gets you everything that you want, from point spreads to threes drained. You can get NBA action, a playoff. You got that weird little, I hope the Lakers go down in a ball of fire, win and get in game. I don't
play-in tournament. There's a play-in tournament. The Hawks are going to be in it
before the playoff, and I don't know. Golly, whatever, NBA.
What is the NBA? Someone answer me that. I'll wait.
I'm waiting for an understanding of what the NBA is and what NFL is, but I do know this: you can bet on all of it. I don't know what it is.
FanDuel, I know what that is. It's the number one sports book in America.
Number one sports book in all of America right now. If you bet for the first time as a first user and lose, you get up to $1,000 in bonus bets right back. FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon.
All right, Clint. We're moving to the bottom half of this bracket. We got another 2-7, and this one, I don't mind the seeding at all. Not
whatsoever.
We got 2 seed Andrew Thomas.
Yep.
And number 7 seed Kenny McIntosh. Mm-hmm. Now, let me be the first to say how much we love Kenny McIntosh on this podcast. Love him. Absolutely dynamic, versatile player. And
there was nobody defending him more. Again, I commented about my Zeus hate that was misinformed. It's because I had so much Kenny McIntosh love.
Really played his role on the team all 4 years of school to great aplomb. Like that's what you want out of a guy on this list. He knows who he is, and he just goes out and performs. It just so happens that who the other guy is an absolute freak of nature, force, the actual best tackle to ever play at the University of Georgia.
Number one.
And it's not particularly close. Andrew Thomas.
Because he's also the best tackle in the league right now, Daniel.
That's also a thing that's real. Andrew Thomas, I think, wins this in a landslide. 3 versus 6. Keely Ringo, the 3 seed.
I'm gonna have some feels and some thoughts on this, Daniel.
Keely Ringo, the 3 seed. Devontae Wyatt, the 6 seed. Now, let me say, before I give the floor to you,
okay.
I initially read this and I thought these seedings should be flipped. Devontae Wyatt should be the 3 seed. Keely Ringo should be the 6 seed. But then I remembered, just like the old song says, that one moment in time.
Okay.
Well, I was more than I thought I could be.
Were you hanging in that moment?
I was not hanging by that moment.
Okay.
With you. Keely Ringo could never do anything for the rest of his life and still be one of the damnedest good dogs in the history of the program at the University of Georgia.
If he quit
so it's going to be
tomorrow,
tough for Devontae Wyatt to pull this off.
Yeah, Devontae Wyatt, look, again, anchored, explosive, part of that defensive front that was otherworldly.
Underrated. That's what makes him so likable. He's always underrated his whole career.
I have never acted more foolish in front of my children.
It's the greatest moment of mine and my son's life. So
then when Keely Ringo took that pick 6 back, never in my life. It's Keely Ringo. Okay,
it's Keely Ringo, and I don't. To be honest, in this exact moment, I don't see how anybody beats Keely Ringo in this.
Now,
in this bracket.
See. We'll find out. Jalen Carter 4, Eric Stokes 5. Eric Stokes, lockdown corner, great dude. Why are we still talking?
Can we move on?
His name's Jalen Carter.
Yep.
He picked up a man.
And carried him around like a human trophy.
Okay.
Okay, well, Eric Stokes never did that, so we're moving on. 8 seed Trey Hill,
Love Trey Hill.
1 seed Nolan Smith.
Oh no, there's
Oh,
that
no.
buzzsaw again, Daniel.
This is
Nolan
going to
Smith.
be tough to overcome.
Nolan Smith has said, talk about Keely Ringo maybe making the most exciting play in the history, one single play in the history of college football. Nolan Smith said, Kirby, I'm coming for your job. Keep it warm for me.
I'd make him the assistant defensive coordinator today.
Right now. Right now.
Unfortunately, he's going to be a first-round draft pick, and he's got several years of successful NFL football to play. But he'll be back.
He'll be back, and when he does, sign me up.
You want to talk about a Richard LeCount type recruiter too? Nolan Smith. He's got that. He loves
still doing
Georgia.
it.
He's a Georgia.
Still doing it.
He loves Georgia the way that you love Georgia. Georgia fans.
Makes him a damn
That-
good dog.
That says a lot. All right, we're back to the top of the bracket. 1 seed,
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean versus 5 seed Trayvon Walker. Same defense.
Yep.
Same draft class.
Yep.
Should have been 2 first-round picks.
Should have.
But the NFL is stupid and backwards and can't get out of their own way.
Nope. Can't help it.
By the way, the Eagles are like, hey, all of the inside linebackers on our roster, we're trading you.
Turns out.
Go away.
It turns out, oh, you're a free agent? That's cool.
Leave now.
Have you seen our linebacking room?
Because
said.
we want Nakobe Dean to play next year. So we're going to pave a way for him because it turns out all those injury concerns, his arms aren't long enough, some just backwards, ridiculous reasoning.
He makes tackles and he stops people from going forward.
Nakobe Dean wins this over Trayvon Walker.
Landslide.
It's a landslide. It's
Okay,
it's a bigger margin than Nakobe Dean over Christopher Smith.
Yeah.
This is so we're close.
just in between. He's
Justin,
coming
we're still mad about Christopher
All
Smith.
right. James Cook,
Uh-huh.
DeAndre Swift.
Some have said even similar backs. Like maybe the most 2 similar backs of the Kirby Smart era.
Sure. Very, very close. Very close. James Cook, who is now, by the way, talk about free agents losing jobs and money. Buffalo Bills said, don't need nobody else. I got James Cook. We're
going to be fine.
This to me, Daniel, I think King Boo on skates still takes it from me in the running back room. I think he's more talented. I think he has more iconic runs. Although DeAndre Swift did, in fact, I still contend, carried an offense. I think DeAndre Swift carried that offense.
He did. The problem is that offense didn't win any championships.
That's the problem.
It's a tough one. I'm gonna give this to James Cook as well. I don't hate that. Moving down, you got Andrew Thomas.
Okay.
The big fundamental, if you will.
Steady Eddie in the most beautiful sense possible.
Never a bad play.
I
Never
haven't seen
a
one yet.
moment when you're watching him play and you're frustrated with him. I just want to clarify that point
because
right now.
Because when I think of Keely,
Because he's matched up against Keely Ringo.
in Keely, I had consternation, let's call it, on some plays.
So do you go with Steady Eddie?
Oof.
Or do you go with what I'm going to say is unquestionably the most iconic play in the history of Georgia football?
And he did it against Tennessee. And he held Ohio State's vaunted passing attack on his side to a handful of catches.
It's Keely Ringo, and it's a landslide.
It's a landslide. I love Steady Eddie. It's Keely Ringo.
It's Keely Ringo. He's just waltzing through this bracket right now. Last one in the second round. It's Jalen Carter. It's Nolan Smith.
Same defense.
Same defense. A lot of players from these last couple of years' defense on this list. That's funny.
It's funny. Very iconic moments for both of them.
Sure.
Championships for both of them.
On the field, there's no comparison between these two athletes.
There's no comparison between Jalen Carter and anybody on the field.
In terms of production, there's no real comparison between these two athletes.
And we're talking about Jalen Carter.
Correct. It's coming out on top. But that's not what this is.
Damn good dog is Nolan Smith. And
And-
I almost think in the dictionary it's almost I can see the outline of Nolan Smith's face. Almost.
The glasses rims are there in
That's all I'm saying.
so yeah, this is Nolan Smith. He's waltzing past Jalen Carter, and
I think
again, it's based primarily on what he does off the field for the University of Georgia.
I just realized I am legitimately excited for him to coach Georgia in the future. I'm legitimately excited for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be awesome.
Okay, I'm just making sure we all understand how great that's going to be. All right, we're going to come back after this and finish up this bracket on the east side. But first, this.
Clint,
Yeah.
let's finish up this bracket on the east
Please,
side.
shall we?
Welcome, by the way, to the third segment. Welcome to the 199. Bonfire.com/store/the 199 if you want to get the
that
merch. We love to have you here. We're happy that you're here. That was the most weird way that you could have held that cup, like that glass, as you were drinking. Like what you reached like almost all the way around and then came up like this a little. If you're not watching on YouTube, thank goodness, because you can't unsee what you just saw.
By the way, are we going to tell the people that we're going to be recording episodes in the same locale?
We're taking a little family vacay together. The two clans, the Monroe clan, the Shambling clan. Thoughts and prayers for everyone nearby.
Not named.
We're gonna say that. Because it's not gonna be a great scene.
It's going to be loud.
But the recording, who knows what the schedule is gonna be like? You may get 20 episodes next week. You may get none. We don't know.
It could be Daniel like cooking as we do the episodes.
We may do an episode about cooking. You don't know what's coming. People have been telling us we should branch out to other fields. So you may get it. That's all happening next week. So I don't know. Stay tuned for that. Good luck on that. We'll see. But for right now, Clint,
By the way, I want to do this from here on out.
I don't want you to, but that's apparently what you do want to do. We got Nakobe Dean, and we got James Cook. It's 1 versus 3. It's been 1 versus 3 in every bracket so far, and every one of them is the one seed has won.
So has Justin failed?
This is the question people are asking. If the 3 seed had been Christopher Smith, this would have been a lot more interesting.
It would have been.
Is the 1 seed going to roll again here? Nakobe Dean, just solid, explosive linebacker. Not the best linebacker to ever play at Georgia, but a great inside backer.
Yeah.
Or you got Ghost on Skates, national champion, James Cook, dynamic, explosive, really changed because even you think about DeAndre Swift, and we call them similar runners.
Yeah.
But James Cook really did change the perception of what a running back at Georgia could and should be. Kenny McIntosh owes a lot of his success, I think, to a guy like James Cook. And so the way Todd Monken was able to utilize him, you're almost... A vote for James Cook here is almost a sort of vote for Todd Monken, if I could try to sway you in that way.
Well,
so where are you going to go, Clint?
His name's Roquan Smith, and then his name's Nakobe Dean.
I was just about to say, Roquan not on the list. He would win in a landslide.
In a landslide.
Yeah.
But I have Roquan 2.0 in Nakobe Dean. You did your best. And King Boo on skates.
I tried to pull the Todd Monken heartstrings there.
I heard it. I heard it. It's Nakobe Dean. He looked at a man mid-game who had almost blown a coverage for a touchdown. And he said, not on my watch. I don't care what your name is or who you are. This is my defense, and you're going to shape up right now.
This ain't 2017, son. We're not blowing touchdown coverages anymore. That's not what we do.
Still won't repeat his name, by the way. It's Nakobe Dean.
Down to the bottom of the bracket, Clint. It's Keely Ringo, the greatest play in the history of Georgia football, against Nolan Smith, who ran really fast in the combine.
He did do that, but also so much more, Daniel. He came back
so much intangibles with Nolan Smith. The visual of him, he's in a boot and a Letterman's jacket at the national championship game in SoFi Stadium.
Crouching down, staring at guys, yelling at them.
And Kirby Smart calls a timeout to give him, in the Letterman's jacket, a curtain call.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart already answered the question for us of who the damnedest good dog is.
Keely gets you can have the title. If this bracket was greatest single play in the history of college sports,
Yep.
Keely Ringo, make your way down.
Happiest I've ever been watching a Georgia sporting event. Keely Ringo. Come on down.
Damnedest good dog?
The 2 number 1 seeds in that bracket, by the way, would be Keely Ringo and Bryce Young. Those would be the 2 number 1 seeds. Happiest I've ever been.
I love you. He probably being shorter than Stetson couldn't.
Well, he
arc
couldn't
that.
quite see.
Couldn't see.
I think Reggie Ball would be the 2 seed. That would be this. But
Yes,
that's
he would.
we got to give it to Nolan Smith, man.
Nolan Smith.
So now this is
all
the
them
final
ones.
4. We got
Got all
all
them
them number 1s. Just like if you think about it.
Okay, hold on.
Nope, that's not
Sorry.
them. That's nothing like this.
Sorry.
Nope. Okay. Well, what we have is Stetson Bennett, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean,
Yep.
and Nolan Smith.
These are the names.
These are the
These are the
names.
names.
These are the names.
Oh my gosh.
This is the Mount Rushmore
Okay.
of Kirby Smart recruited damn good dogs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Argue a wall. Not interested.
And then when that wall slaps you, say I'm sorry because you're a
Realize
moron.
that you were in fact wrong.
Correct.
Now, again, Kirby Smart recruited.
Yep.
There's a lot of names that would be on this list that are not. We know that, but these are the names: Stetson Bennett, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, and Nolan Smith. On the next episode, we will break down that Final Four.
Cool.
We will get into who the ultimate champion is of this bracket, and then we will talk about some more Georgia football spring practice news and notes. All of that coming up later this week on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. We'll see you then.
See you.